Good morning, Willowbrook, and thank you for continuing with us through the New Testament Challenge. My name is Bobby Ann, and I'm the women's minister at Willowbrook, and I'm excited because today we start the book of James. If you've ever spent any time in the book of James, you know that there is a richness there. There's some really clear direction about God's desires and his designs for our lives. And it helps us take some biblical truths and merge it with our real life living. In chapter 1, there's so many good thoughts that, if I was honest, it was kind of hard for me to pick just one. But as I studied through this first chapter, I thought, there's one passage that I find myself coming back to really regularly, and it's found in the 5th and 6th verse of the first chapter. It says this, it says, "Now if any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives to all generously and without criticizing, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith without doubting, for the doubter is like the surging sea, driven and tossed by the wind." I find that there's things in Scripture that are really, really clear, that there's a black and white answer. There's things that we know are right, and there's things that we know are wrong. But I've also discovered that as I do life, not everything is black and white. Not everything is super clear. For example, parenting. I've got 2 kids who have very different personalities. And yes, right and wrong doesn't change for them, but my response to their choices does change because of how they will receive a message. The different consequences for their choices or different affirmations for good choices, those change because of their different personalities. But because of my personality, I don't always make the right choice as a parent. I need wisdom to best parent these kids. It may not be parenting for you. It may be a different relationship you're in. Maybe it's a relationship with one of your parents. Maybe you have some dysfunction in your family. Maybe it's with a coworker who needs a relationship with Jesus, and you don't want to push too hard, but God's calling you to more with them, and you want to say the right thing, and maybe you're lacking some wisdom. I love this promise in Scripture that if you lack wisdom, God is generous to give it to us. But it says we need to ask. We need to ask, but we also need to ask in faith, believing that God will give us wisdom because he longs to give us wisdom. He longs to step in and intervene in our lives. But he also wants us to acknowledge that we need him too, that not everything is a logical, conventional answer. We need divine wisdom, and that God will generously give that to you. If you find yourself in a situation where you just don't know the right thing to do, start with asking God for wisdom and then trusting and believing that he will give it to you. Don't just bulldoze ahead without waiting on him, but trust that he's going to give it to you in the right time. And you'll find that God is ever present and longs to offer you that wisdom. I pray that you will have a good day, that you'll experience the presence of God in your day.